I was really pleased with it, to be honest. The last 2 days we haven't been real happy with our balance, and just couldn't seem to get the speed that a lot of the guys that were putting up big numbers at the top of the board were able to run. I mean, we couldn't even run within a second of them the last 2 days. So, to end up running second like this, just really good effort for all of our guys. Really proud of Steve Addington. Never gave up this weekend, and they just kept. Nobody ever gave up on trying to find something that was going to be a little bit better. So, him and Jeff Mendering and Greg Zipadelli and all these guys on our team, just really proud of the effort that they put forth this weekend.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions for Tony. We'll start down here. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. As always, state your name and affiliation. We'll start right here with Lewis.
Lewis, Frank Reuters. I didn't hear you on tape, but could you take us through the last restart and how you passed Kurt for the place?
He had something break in the rear end, which made it really difficult for him to. I was watching him, and it was honestly, I don't know how he kept it on the racetrack with how much the rear end was moving around on that car. I thought he did a really phenomenal job of just hanging on to what he had. So we just, every time he'd go in the corner, the rear end would shift, and it was running him to the outside of the track on entry, and it was screwing his corner up. So, we kind of got it by default there to a certain degree, but, once we got by there, we just weren't close enough in that last lap to get to Clint.
Okay, questions for Tony? Okay, we'll take one right here from Bob.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. When you
Bob,
look
at me when you ask the question.
What?
Look at me when you ask the question.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Are you surprised at all about Clint winning this race? And, when you think of road course guys, do you consider him one of the top road course racers among y'all?
I don't think anybody had in the past, but, all weekend he had good speed. So, it didn't surprise me to see him up there, leading the race. And I don't know how many laps he led. I think he led the majority of it, didn't he? So. 70 laps. So, it's pretty impressive to see him have the run that he's had. It's I don't think any of us are really road course racers per se, but we do it twice a year, and somebody's got to be good at it, and somebody's going to win the race each time. But he didn't make any mistakes, and we kind of had a little misfortune that turned out to be fortunate at the end when we had our last scheduled pit stop, and they didn't get all the fuel in it, so we ran I think 8 or 10 laps there, and the caution came out, and we came in for fuel and tires. And watching him and Kurt have the battle they had was pretty fun to watch. Even we were trying to catch them all, obviously, but it was every time we'd go into 11, it was fun to be watching ahead and see what was going to happen. I don't think there was a lap that somebody didn't lock up a front tire or something. So I thought they had a pretty good battle. It was fun to watch. But honestly, when you have a opportunity like that, you can force yourself into mistakes, and I thought Clint did a good job because of that. Didn't make any.
Okay, any more questions from down here? Okay, we'll take one in the back right here, and then back from Nate. Go ahead.
Curtis Pashalka, Bay Area News Group. Tony, could you imagine a lot of talk coming in how rough this race was going to be? Could you have predicted that really there's only be 2 cautions and no real temper tantrums out there?
No, but I was happy about it. It was a fun race because you weren't just having the restarts. It's the field's typically so tight, and there's so many corners that you go from high speed to really low speed on entry that once you're about the 4th or 5th row back on a restart, if you can just find an empty spot on the racetrack, you can gain some easy spots. And unfortunately, that's what leads to guys trying to take advantage of that, and it puts a lot of guys in bad positions. But even though it gets aggressive, it's not necessarily because guys are trying to be aggressive physically with each other as much as it's just easy to overcommit to a corner, and then once you get there, and if somebody moves, you have no ability to back out of the situation. So not having all those cautions made it fun because you could actually race guys one-on-one a lot today versus having to worry about getting those big packs and big groups and having to worry about whether you're going to get run over or not.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Nate, then go upstairs.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Tony, this was actually Boyard finished 3rd or 4th 3 times here before, so he sort of broke through today. And you and Jeff, it seemed like when you guys got your first win on a road course, it was was the first of many for both you and Gordon. Is there something to that? Once you break through on a place like this, you get that confidence and maybe start winning more?
Well, I mean, obviously, with what you said there, he's shown consistency, so it was a matter of time before he'd get one. So I don't know. I think once you get the feel of it, it makes it a little easier the next time. It seems like guys that haven't won, it's a harder time of trying to figure it out and trying to get accomplished on that. But it seems like that once you get that first one, you get a lot of confidence.
Any questions upstairs for Tony?
It's Terry Blunt, ESPN.com. Tony, as a team owner, can you talk a little bit about what Michael Waltrip Racing has done this year and what huge strides they've made? I mean, you came in and were successful quickly as a team owner, but it took them quite a while. And talk about what they've done this year and kind of how they've done it.
I think it's real impressive. I mean, Michael started that organization from scratch, and every year they just get better and better. And this year they've been solid everywhere they've gone. So obviously their off season they were very productive and gained more than a lot of the other teams, I think, from that standpoint. So it's cool to see a guy like Michael get results like this finally. He's they've been knocking on the door and been so close so many times, and to have a day like today, and it had three cars that were just phenomenal all day long. So aside from the win, all three of his cars were fast. So it speaks volumes for his organization.